Welcome to the Pinkwood Show. I am Anushri Dixit. COVID 19 has impacted not just the economy but a lot of human lives across the world. The film industry worldwide, along with other sectors, have been impacted, affected negatively, adversely affected. Although it is one of the largest revenue generators, but still, now we do not know what is the deadlock and when are we going to penetrate that deadlock. So, to talk on the impacts of COVID 19 on film industry and media, we have our guest today with us, that is Vinta Nanda. Now, let me introduce Vinta Nanda to you all. Vinta I call her revolutionary Vinta because she is best known for her TV serial, the path breaking TV serial Tara. She is known for her TV series Kabhi Kabhi and Mili, and there are several others. She ruled the 90s of the TV industry. Well, let me tell you that she is not just a script writer, but she's a producer and the director as well. And today she's making a lot of mark on the world, okay, by her writings of the Daily Eye. Daily Eye is an information news portal for creative communities and development. Sorry, I've got a little sore throat. So, hi Vinta, how are you?
Hi, Anushri. So good to be on this show with you. Thank you so much. I'm very fine. I hope you're good too.
Yes, I am good. Thank you so much for being here, for accepting and consenting to be my guest. And
My
it's such an
pleasure.
honor.
It's an honor for me as well to be with you on this. We've known each other for so long, and for
That's
some
right.
reason, we haven't really had this kind of an interaction together.
Yeah. And audience, let me also tell you that when I was working for Kerala Floods, Vinta was one of the important sources that actually made me meet the NGO where I could actually reach all the material and all the help could be reached to the right place because of Vinta. So a lot of people owe you that thanks, Vinta.
Well, that was another pleasure. I think give the credit to the power of Facebook. That's how we both met.
Absolutely.
Because I saw you were looking for some leads, and I saw that, and we got in touch, and we started talking. And I also used connections of other people. So there are a lot of people in that chain who need or
In
need to
that
be given
chain,
all the credit.
yes. I
Yeah.
think there were around 500 people in one group, basically. So, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
long chain.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when we are talking about this subject, impact of COVID 19 on film and media. So, I mean, first of all, how has it affected, I mean, we all know how adverse it is, that it has gone worse and we don't know. We have not still reached the peak. So several sectors have been impacted negatively. And what about film and media? How adversely or how bad can it go?
On the outset, let me tell you that as a writer and a creative resource, I'm not really the most qualified person to speak on behalf of the business part of it, but because I'm aware of it and I have so many colleagues and friends who are involved at the front lines, I am very well informed on what the situation is really like. Um, to start with, I think the media and the film industry, the entertainment world, is largely dependent on the mood of the nation, because everything that gets churned out through entertainment and through media is for to address the mood of the nation. And never before has it been that the whole nation's mood changed overnight. Not just the nation, but the whole world. I mean, it happened overnight, and everybody's mood plunged to its lowest level. Fear set in. There was a lot of like speculation and a lot of worry that took over, and everything came to a standstill. Like everything else, so did shootings, so did production, so did all work. People were just left high and dry in the middle of nowhere. But having said that, the film industry has always been uh, very front footed when it comes to supporting its own people, and it has faced several adversities. COVID is not the first time that something that has shaken the the shaken the earth beneath our feet. There's been so many more instances. There've been wars. There've been certain other calamities, catastrophes. Bombay has been where the entire industry, actually the real industry, actually works out of, has been subjected to floods. 2005, there've been terrorist attacks. There've been so many other things. So in a way, the resilience of this city also kind of is a part of the DNA of the film industry. So the film industry's first step, and I know because many of my friends are part of the Producers Guild of the, they are on the committees of the Producers Guild of India, they're on the committees of the Cine and TV Artists Association of India, they're on the committees of the Screenwriters Association of India or the Indian Film and Television Directors Union. So all these unions are where, you know, the churn starts. When something goes wrong, it's the unions who come together and they take charge. And sure enough, you know, like you, for the overall country to have seen what happened with migrant workers, daily wage earners. The film industry largely runs on freelancers and daily wage earners.
Right.
You know, I think 80% of the film industry comprises of, or the creative industry, part of the industry comprises of freelancers and daily wage earners.
Yes.
So that was the first concern. And if you might have noticed, it was in the news within the first 2-3 days, whether it was Salman Khan, whether it was Akshay Kumar, whether it was, the biggest of stars, first step forward, yes. And they put their money where their mouth was. The first step that happened in the film and television industry, I'm very glad we are having this conversation today, because the industry is just taking a beating after beating over what happened, like a huge tragedy that happened. Right. You know, that all that it did prior to this tragedy has been forgotten. But the same people who are being slammed are the same people who just put their front foot forward and immediately came to the rescue and saw to it. And so I can say, I mean, this is information to me because I'm not at the front lines and I'm not the person who's actually executing and implementing all of this. But my friends are, best friends are. And I know for a fact that all of them are involved. There is a group of, FTI graduates like cinematographers and sound recordists and writers who've come together and created a situation with the Producers Guild of India to provide the vanity vans which were lying empty, to provide them to the police personnel who were working day and night in the city. So that's how far the film industry has gone to help not just each other, but even outside the industry to people at the front lines in Bombay. So having said that, yes, the first thing within the film industry was that what are the daily wages going to do? All the stars came in, they gave money, there was other money that was already there with these committees and with unions, and therefore every daily wage earner, it was seen to it that he didn't go hungry, his family didn't go hungry, they were being regularly paid. I think, if I'm not mistaken, even the channels and the networks came forth. They gave production houses money so that they could keep the daily wage earners working. Not working, but paid, regularly paid. And slowly, as we speak today, everything is in the past. It's 3 months ago that this happened. And about a week or 10 days ago, the film industry has restarted. It has shifted its gear and it's moved back into production. And it has adapted itself to the new normal. It has, I know because I'm making a documentary film with producers who are very big in the business, and they're making very big, large serials, including Radha Krishna. I mean, this is Swastik Productions. And I know, the kind of steps they have taken to adapt to the new normal and establish a system and a process in which people are able to function in a safe environment, be safe themselves, and also keep each other safe. So it's a challenge. I'm not going to say this is going to be an easy thing for anybody, including the film industry. But it has to start. People have to get back to work. The economy has to move. Um, People have to work. People have to earn money, because however poor a person may be, uh, he or she would always prefer that he earns that 100 rupees per day of his own hard work than to receive doles. That's where integrity and dignity is, and that is what needs to be restarted and removed.
So, many unfortunate incidents during the lockdown happened, especially because people did not have money.
Yeah.
And, there were so many people. I mean, we had heard of the incidents where they had committed suicide, some attempted suicides, some went into. I think most of the people, if we see majorly, we see a huge chunk that has actually started suffering from some or the kind of mental instability. Now, it could be depression, it could be aggression, this some kind of, uh, you know I mean, not easy. You're not feeling comfortable with yourself or with the surroundings. So now, given the point, this kind of instability and this kind of situation, what do you say can be done? Because you only said right now that it cannot be done 100% with 100% efficiency. Every person cannot be reached, right? And then this industry is not actually an industry. I mean, we call it industry, but it's not recognized, right? It's not the organized sector. It's all freelancers that are joined here, and they are daily wage earners. That's what you also mentioned. How are we going to, all these changes that we are witnessing, how are we going to cope with it, especially the film and media industry? One, coping, as you've already said a lot about. Second is, am I audible to you?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Okay. I just saw some message here. Okay, so, and the next thing is, one is, how are we going to cope about it, right? How are we going to cope with it? And the second thing is, even if we get back to doing the normal, since this is a hugely communicable disease, now film industry is somewhere, we are storytellers. Film media, we're all storytellers, and stories have got certain face, right? Now those faces cannot be hidden behind the masks, so how are we going to cope with it? I mean, do you really think so it is practically possible?
See, at first, even I thought, how will it be possible? But what is storytelling? Let's go to that. And why have people, there were suicides and there was depression, because people plunged into the depths of uncertainty and they didn't know what to do. It was a situation in which people were totally in the dark about what was going to come next, right? And then slowly things have started coming back to not normal but a new normal, and therefore that provides its own hope. But having said that, coming back to your question about storytelling, what is storytelling? Storytelling is being able to give words to what you are experiencing. And this too is a huge experience in itself, And for instance, I mean, I would never have imagined in my own life, that one day I'll be wearing a mask. In fact, I used to look at my Muslim friends when I was in the north, where I was born in Jammu and Kashmir, and I used to ask them, how do you wear the hijab? You know what I'm saying? And I used to always say, like, I'll never be able to do it. But I'm doing it. And to just give myself a kick, the other day I went and ordered Levi's masks. So they came and I was so excited. Now, who was to ever know that one day to get Levi's masks? Like, there were jeans we used to get all excited about when we were kids because they were so rare and in India you wouldn't get them. Today, getting a set of Levi's masks was for me a big kick. Okay, these really nice looking, lovely masks. So we adapt. Relationships are going to change. The way we think has already changed. In fact, we would not be able to operate. Today, you and me are talking like this because we can't meet in person. But there is a different kind of thing that is developing between people. And I also feel, that is my personal take, that for things to come to a pause was very necessary, Anushri. Everything had gone into the fast lane to the point that everybody was on a roller coaster. And nobody had the time to sit back, introspect, look at things as they were, and try and give meaning to them. So, in my eyes, even while I'm writing now, whether it's for the Daily Eye or the scripts that I'm working on, I'm beginning to discover much more meaning in things that I did 3 months ago. Because 3 months ago, I was working, I too, like the rest of the world, was on a roller coaster, and I was delivering work. You know, it was not thought through as well as now I am thinking through the same work which I'm delivering. Similarly, I would imagine each and every one of the 1.3 billion people in this country, or the 7 billion people in the world who have gone through this 3 months, which is a mixture of fear, hope, many tragedies that came very close to us, you know, and so many things that have happened within us. Like, for instance, I have never spent as much time with my mother since the last 35 years as I did in the last 3 months. And there are things about her I'm discovering, and there are things I'm sure she's discovering about me. And that in itself will be storytelling. Because I had not spent this kind of quality time with her, with my sisters, with my, even, like, for instance, I never had the time to talk to my friends beyond 5 minutes or 10 minutes at the most. Now I'm sitting back like it used to be in those days in my teens and later, when I talk for hours on end with my friends, hours on end with my aunts, with my uncles, with my cousins. There are cousins whom we hadn't connected with for years, and now we are all together in WhatsApp groups, because uncertainty is something that makes you extremely human. And certainty is something that had turned this whole world into a very inhuman place. Because we were so sure, हम ये करेंगे, ऐसा करेंगे, strategy बनाएंगे, इसके बाद ये होगा, उसके बाद ये होगा, उसके बाद ऐसा हो जाएगा, उसके बाद वैसा हो जाएगा. That the confidence that we had was making us not be human.
That's right.
So suddenly this uncertainty has brought us back to who we are.
I mean, we had planned for everything.
Yes.
And we were very indifferent to the consequences.
Yes.
But now, as man proposed, but God has disposed it outright.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in fact, I think, I'm a spiritual person as well. So I really feel that God has done this on a purpose.
Purpose, right? Because every time, I mean, I'm into healing also. So, like, whenever we heal our earth, Mother Earth. So, it's like God has given the opportunity to Mother Earth that, okay, Mother Earth will heal herself. I am giving this to humans, but humans will have to suffer. But I think in some point, it is good for the human beings also. Like, after when I hear you and of my own experiences, somewhere we humans, of course, bad things and mishaps have happened. They shouldn't have happened, but so somewhere it is good for us. It is actually making us pause to think, contemplate, and revive our relationships and our creativity everywhere. So yes, coming back to your conversation with them.
Yeah. So I think meditating, it's self-meditation that has happened on its own. I would say it's also the fact that, what is business had become so cutthroat. So while the collateral is very sad, because a lot of people who have lost their jobs are finding it very difficult to, sorry, my tea has come and I forgot to tell my maid I'm in this meeting.
Absolutely fine.
So, nahi kuch nahi chahiye. So, the collateral is huge in terms of people who've lost their jobs or who are still in that state of uncertainty and they don't know what next is going to be. But the other day I was sitting and thinking to myself that I myself have come up the ranks in this industry. When I came here, I was 19 years old. I never knew what I'm going to do and how it's going to happen. And all I did every day was work hard. And the day I didn't have any work, I went and knocked on people's doors. I used to make cold calls. And I used to make sure that some work came my way because I had to survive in this city, right? So what happened was I achieved and I learned and I gained so much more confidence, and then I was doing very well. I stopped a certain thing inside me, which was the drive in me kind of stopped because now I had what I wanted. Then COVID has come. And from day one onwards, that uncertainty came back and it was very familiar. It wasn't something that I hadn't been through before. And I'm talking more about myself because I think all of us feel the same way. Because in a strange way, all of us are connected. And suddenly those days came back to me, and for me, it was like, oh, this is a familiar space. This is not an unfamiliar space. Something that it's that kind of space where I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I've been there before. It's not something that's new. So why am I fretting? And that's where the COVID experience started for me. So the first thing that happened was like, I said, okay, what are my options in front of me? So the options in front of me were very slim because there was no office, there was nowhere to go to, there was no shooting, there was no production, there were no meetings, which my days used to be filled with. But there was this little thing called the Daily Eye, which was hanging around for the last 6 years. We had developed on it, but it would we would put up something as and when we had any material to put up on it. So to me, it was like, okay, that this is an opportunity. So I just said, okay, let me go for it. There was no staff. There was nobody to help me out. But then Khalid Mohammed and me connected over the same problem. He also didn't know what to do with his time. So he said he had been writing for the Daily Eye for many years. Every time he used to feel like giving us a piece, he would give us a piece. So both of us kind of decided, okay, let's go for it. At least that means that we wake up every morning, we have a routine, we have a schedule, and we have a deadline to meet. So we set those deadlines and we started. Within 10 days, the Daily Eye had just gone through the roof because we never realized there were people who were also waiting for something to happen which they could turn into a sort of a routine. So I started sending articles in the morning, started getting responses, started responding to those responses. And before we knew it, 3 months later, the Daily Eye is an entity in itself, which is up there. And now it keeps me so busy that now that I have to get back to my normal work, I'm finding it very difficult. So life is transient and we are, I don't know, I think the human being has been made so powerful by the Almighty that we are so easy to adapt to any situation. We imagine that we won't be able to figure this out and we won't be able to figure out that out. But the minute we are flung into a situation, we find our way. So there is so much inside of us which we are not aware of, which we don't know. So these 3 months has given us that opportunity to tap on it, to figure it out, to understand darkness, to realize where the light comes from in that darkness, because there have been hours and hours of emptiness and vacuum that all of us, collectively 7 billion people in this world, have faced. Let me tell you, even the Prime Minister of the country or the President of America or the President of Russia has not had as much work to do because even they were trapped. So now what we are stepping into, I would look at it positively as a world we are stepping into which is far more sensitive to itself than it was 3 months ago. you know.
Yeah, that's a different light. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to look at things negatively, so that's why you'll have to excuse me for only giving positive strokes to everything that I'm talking about.
But that's so nice to hear positive things, even in, and we actually in the Indian culture, we've always been, brought up this way to believe in positivity.
Yeah,
So yes, we should find out positive. But yes, somehow we were leading more towards being negative and destructive. Like if we don't, try to destruct somebody else, if we don't try to destroy somebody else, we destroy ourselves.
exactly.
Way. So yes, it is always nice to hear positive things in. I mean, from the adversities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about this, you said about positivity. So how positive and hopeful are you with the film and media? Because again, my question basically is because the cost is going to be abnormally high. It looks like this right now. Maybe with time everything, because human beings, we are all flamboyant. We all get adjusted to everything. We are very we tolerate everything, and we have this stretchability. So we keep on
Yeah.
stretching ourselves.
Yeah.
So but yes, adapting to the new normal, but then how much time are we going to take to adapt to the new normal?
Well, from the film and television industry point of view, uh, it will take time. It will take time not for people to adapt to the new normal, but for the infrastructures that have to be created for people to be able to exist in that new normal. Like, for instance, sets have to follow certain best practices today, which they didn't have to earlier. Like you have to have certain elements there, whether it is a sanitization team, which is constantly sanitizing everything around you, whether it is the doctors, whether it is accessibility uh, to health services, because COVID is an unknown virus. Nobody knows it as yet. The biggest of scientists and researchers don't know what its antecedents are, and what it is capable of doing, and what is the cure and prevention for it. So we all have to be very, very careful at every step of the way. And I think when you are careful, you have to not just be careful about yourself, you have to be careful about everyone around you. So, like within the house, we are very careful. Like we are like, whether it is my mom or it's like my sister or anybody, we have to be careful for each other. Similarly, at work, we have to be careful. Because it has, COVID is going to have an effect, if not just by you being careful. Everyone around you has to be careful for you to be safe. Therefore, for others to be safe, even you have to be careful. So, as such, if you look at it, the industry is going to take a long time. Um, the new normal also includes that earlier we could have 50, 60, 70, maybe 100 people on a set. Today, everyone has to work at 30% of the capacity, which also means that work has to increase 3 times for everyone who was employed earlier to have jobs. So I think, like I said earlier to you, Anushri, it's not my job or your job. It's not a single person's job to make this change happen. It's the job of everyone collectively. And I'm sure very huge, um, hugely placed people as well as big minds are already working at it. Incomes are going to decrease. In a way, if you look at it, I don't know about you, but I have learned to live in um 25% of what I was living in 3 months ago.
Right. You're absolutely right.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I didn't realize that it would not matter. So, in a way, if you look at it, I think we'll all learn. I think we'll all become simpler people, and it was very important.
That's right.
Yeah,
Especially just look at the way now more than 50 people cannot, attend a wedding. So it is like a boon for those parents who cannot afford a lavish wedding.
of course. In fact, weddings used to really bother me. Lavish weddings used to really, really bother me because it used to be such a waste. And right outside almost every wedding, there used to be so many poor people watching from the fringes. And in contrast, you could see that. So,
Right.
in a way, I think it's a reality check for us culturally, socially, economically, in biologically, in every possible way. It's a reality check. And it's about time that something happened which brought us to confront our realities again.
Okay, we have a question. What
Hmm.
is that one thing which you feel which you won't be able to have now amidst COVID?
Which I won't. I do feel that I've been I'm one of those people who can get up and travel anytime,
Uh,
all my
right.
life. So that my first fear was that, oh shit, if I want to get up and go to Pune tomorrow, I can't. Or if I want to go to Lonavala, I can't. Or if I want to just pick up my camera and go shoot a documentary film, I can't. Now it involves so many things, but I was the type of person in March. In fact, March 15th, I returned from Guwahati after shooting my documentary film. And the lockdown started on the 22nd, right? So I was the type of person who would like be sitting in the night at about 1 o'clock at night and I'd say, ki, kal subah main nikal rahi hu. And I would get online, book my tickets, and I'd be out. So if there's something that I feel that is going to take a very long time is to get that adventure back in my life which I belong to.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's right. And more than a film industry, it is actually the travel and tourism industry, the hospitality that has been
Oh yes.
really hit worst. And don't know
Yeah.
how is it going to, come back on its own feet.
It'll find a way. I'm sure
It
it'll
will.
find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will. It
Yeah.
has to actually.
Yes.
Okay, we have another question. How will, according to you, how will film industry's business model change now?
Well, I do believe that I think the economics will change in a very big way. And there will be more equality than there was. Because earlier there were some people who were getting paid too much, and there were some people who were getting paid too little. And therefore, the models are now going to you can say, recalibrate and bring people more into an equality framework. And the other way in which the industry model is really going to change is um, the kind of way in which we produce content, because the online resources have increased a huge lot. Like, I have independently started making films on my own, from shooting to recording to editing. However good or bad they are is not the question. But I'm at my age, if I can do it, I know the youngsters are going to be very, very swift. And the youngsters, when they get swift, they can really. So every person is going to be a walking, talking business in his own self or herself, you know. And there'll be so many permutations and combinations of creativity that are going to take place. uh, I feel sorry for those who are at the top in these big networks and channels, because it's their job which is going to be very difficult to harness the energy that has been unleashed into this world, and the floodgates that have opened to creativity because of the challenges we faced in the COVID times.
Right. So you said that things are going to change and the strategies and everything is going to change. But then I am unable to get it. How? How is it going to change? Because how are we going to, equalize the payment system that you just said?
So, see, we have to wait and watch. Now, how are these big mega shows really going to fare? Because what has also happened in these 3 months very greatly, see, ultimately the industry is driven by its audience. And the audiences are really who set the mission of strategy into rolling. So, the audiences have changed in these 3 months. For instance, in my own home, the the dependence on television shows has reduced, Reason being, whatever could it was that because for 3 months new episodes were not coming, so those members of my family who were watching regular serials gave up watching serials. Will they go back to the new serials when they start coming out? I don't think so, because they have got into habits of doing other things in that time. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
now it's the audience. So we have to see again, we have come back into that space where, yes, big television shows are being produced again. They've started shooting. When they come on air, how will they fare? If they fare well, great. If they do not fare well, the television industry will definitely have to relook at its model. Secondly, if you see the film industry, there's a huge business change that has happened. Just 3 days ago or 4 days ago, 7 or 8 films were announced on Hotstar, which would otherwise have been released would have been released in the theaters.
Theaters. Yeah.
We are very uncertain about when theaters will open again. I pray to God that they open again, because that was one huge, advantage both audiences and makers had. But we don't know how it's going to turn out. When they open, we'll have to wait and watch how that happens. In the meantime, the economics have to keep churning. I think there will be more good quality content that will be created now. Because when you're faced with challenges, that's when your best innovations and creativity takes form. So when you don't have money is when you're most creative. Otherwise, with money, anyone can be creative. You can create the biggest flash, you can get the best resources, you can create the biggest kind of drama, and you can keep on repeating the same thing which had been happening for the last 20, 25 years. But now that's not so. Now, to be noticed, and if you've seen for yourself, audiences have become very, very different in just these 3 months. Audiences themselves are creators today.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
So
that's a, I mean, big thing you
as
said.
a writer, I am competing with my audience.
Right.
As a director, I'm competing with my audience. As a producer, I'm competing with my audience. Earlier, it was a one-way street. Now it's a two-way street. So there is a very, very big revolution which is about to come, and we are probably not so prepared for it, but as usual, we will take on the challenge when it comes.
That's right. And this is probably the last question for us. For our viewers, can you help them know how the new entrants should change their strategy to hit the right spot in Bollywood?
That's a very big question, especially in light of what has been happening. See, I have my example to give. And I really feel that as newcomers, you should first of all never feel like a newcomer, because once you are, that happens in school, in classrooms and all, that you're a newcomer in a new school, in a new class, or a newcomer in a new city when your father gets transferred from place to place. In an industry, you're never a newcomer. You are a startup, whether you are an individual or you're a company. And when you step into an industry, you should be very clear about what you want. When I came here, I was very clear I wanted to be a writer, and then I realized that who's going to give me work, because there was so much competition, and there was so much mara-mari over that competition that I would always lose out.
And so probably you were one of the few or very few women writers. Yeah.
So that was also a challenge in its own way, because at that time people didn't trust women writers, independent writers, as much as they trust them today. Times have changed a big deal. But because I knew that it's going to be too huge a challenge for me to find work, I became a producer. I said, okay, I'll give myself work. So, I had the confidence. Because every time I would go for work, I would lose out to someone or the other, and they were mostly guys.
Now I have to give you the striking resemblance of thoughts, because The similar thing has happened to me, but yes, I
Yeah.
have never been to Mumbai. But when I met people, so many people, since 2002, I have been meeting people, and then I ended up opening my own production. That okay, maybe once in a year, maybe twice in a year, but I'll do my own work.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, I
that's
can relate
exactly,
with that.
Anushri, what happened with me. When, in 1987, my father died, and by then I had already assisted in Tera Naam Mera Naam with Ramesh Talwar. I had worked with Shekhar Kapoor. I had worked with Raman Kumar, done Parbat Ke Us Paar, and worked with him on 3-4 films, plus TV serials, Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, blah, blah, blah. There were so many Puraskar and all where I was an assistant director.
Wow.
And then in 1987, it was a sudden thing that my father died. And, I had to find my feet. And every time I would go, मैं मीटिंग में हूँ, आप क्या कर रहे हो यहाँ पे? Sorry, my maid has taken the opportunity to clean my table while I'm talking. So anyway, so for me, I had to find my feet, and every time I would go asking for work, which happens even today, by the way. Every time I go asking for work, it's like they're looking for behind my shoulder as to who will manage her. You know, people don't have confidence giving a woman a work unless there's a guy standing behind her who's nodding to them, koi baat nahi, main sambhal lunga. They are so afraid of working with a woman because they have this fear that अगर ये हाथ से निकल गई तो कौन संभालेगा. That is the patriarchy that runs in them.
I mean, that is still there.
It is still there. It is still there. At my age, I've reached 50. I'm like, so I've done so much of work behind me. And of course, I'm bold, and of course, I'm outspoken, and of course, I will never hesitate from calling a spade a spade. So nobody gives me work. I have to create from day one since 1987 when I first made my documentary film and set up my production house called Track Cinema till today. I have had to create work for myself because there is no other way that you will get complete set. Because the minute you're also a freelancer, they start padding you. They don't trust your creativity on your own, Whereas for me, creativity is a process. It's a process of discovery. So if you will ask me that the script is looking great, how will you make it? If I tell you today that this is how I'm going to make it, be sure it's going to be a flop. Because I should also get to know how I'll make it while I'm making it. And that confidence has to be inside of me. And you have to have that confidence in me. And I've seen many of my women colleagues have that confidence in me, and I have that confidence in them. But the minute I go to in front of a man and ask him, like, please give me some work, either they'll give it and they'll pull out after 2-3 months. Okay? Or they're looking at you behind your shoulder to see who's handling you. They want someone who can handle a woman. So that's the sad part. So coming back to the question that you asked, the main thing is don't fear. Be clear about what you want and just go for it. I have made cold calls, I'll tell you my first films, how I got them to make. And you will be surprised. I was in Delhi. I happened to be there for a friend's wedding. Someone had told me that UNICEF makes these films on immunization and all. So it got into my head, like, let me go and try. So I just walked into the UNICEF office at Lodi Estate. And I was standing at the reception. So that receptionist asked me, who do you want to meet? So I said, I want to meet the person who gives films to make. So she said, what's his name? I said, I don't know. So she said, but you have to tell me who you want to meet. So I said, who gives films to make? So she said, this is not how UNICEF works. But you won't believe what happened. The guy who gives films to make was walking in after lunch. And he passed the lobby and he saw me there and he saw the receptionist arguing with me and he heard me say, I want to meet the person who gives films to make. So he came up to me and he said, I give films to make. I think you want to meet me. So I said, oh, hello, I'm so-and-so. I want films to make. He said,
Wow.
why do you think I'll give you films to make?
Yeah.
So I said, because I believe I can make them. So he was very
Wow.
sweet. He took me to his office. He made me sit there and he said, what do you do? So I told him I was an assistant director. I had been directing, I had been working with so and all these actors. I'm from theater. I used to work with Nadira Babbar at that point in time. And all my friends were the TV stars of those days, from Rakesh Bedi to, whoever you name, whether it was, uh, uh, so many of them. Okay, so he said, "Can you bring them to say one line about immunization?" So I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Okay, go to Bombay and send me the confirmation."
And you
So
used to
I
live in Delhi then.
no, I had just gone for a friend's wedding to Delhi.
Oh, wow.
So I came back to Bombay and I spoke to all my friends. So there was Om Puri, there was so and so, there was so and Girja Shankar, there was Mukesh Khanna. They were doing Mahabharat in those days. As
Oh,
Bhisham Pitama and Dhritarashtra, they came and gave a message of immunization. So this guy in UNICEF was shocked because I called him back after 2, 3 days and said, yes, everyone is ready to do it. And I was in business. You get my point. So it's not like you should fear that how only, you should not feel that only if I go to Yash Chopra, I'll get a film to do. Only if I go to Mahesh Bhatt, I'll get a film to do. Damn it, films can be made. You don't have to have these huge plans. That is where people go wrong. It's because I made those UNICEF films that a Yash Chopra and a Mahesh Bhatt and other people noticed me. I didn't go knocking in their doors and saying, give me work, sir, give me work, sir, and they'd get angry with them if they weren't able to give me work. Suddenly, there was this woman, there was this young girl of 22, 23-year-old who was making films and the word was buzzing around कि एक ऐसी है, ऐसी film बनाए, ऐसी film बनाए. So people started wanting to know, ये कौन है? ये अपने आप को समझती क्या है? It was like, that's how I got introduced into the industry. And people started taking interest in me and saying, wow, yeah, you've got guts, yeah. So I was like there. I was in the center. So I think people have to view entry into this industry differently. Don't expect that the industry will embrace you with open arms and give it to you on a platter. Come and show the industry that you deserve it. For that, do whatever it takes. Do theater, do film, do short films, do whatever will bring you into the notice. Stand on podiums and shout. But don't just expect things will come on a silver platter. It doesn't work like that. And not just in film and TV industry. It doesn't work like that anywhere. I did theater, I did backstage, I did, costumes. My first job was doing costumes in Ye Jo Hai Zindagi. Because I had to survive. So whatever job I got. And I did it. So it should not come into your mind कि मैंने ये ही करना है. Keep working because creativity is too vast. Even if you're doing costumes, there's creativity involved in it. Even if you're doing lighting, there's creativity involved in it. Even if you're just pulling the focus of a camera, there's creativity involved in it. Be involved with creativity and you will get to your goal. That is my advice. But if you think I want to only go to the goal, sorry, it doesn't work like that.
right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Great. So, thank you so much for this very interesting and wonderful talk and advice to all the newcomers. And I don't have words to express that how inspiring this is. And this is, such a heartwarming chit chat. Along with that, this advice of yours and this spirit that you have, the unending spirit. I know in the 90s, that audience, I don't know, I'm sure you must have watched in the 90s all those shows. On after every whichever TV serial I liked or my mom liked or our neighbors used to watch, there was a name called Vintananda. So every time there was this name Vinta Nanda, and we were like, "Who is this Vinta Nanda?" हर serial के पीछे credits में जो नाम आता है वो Vinta Nanda का.
But you know how I got Tara to make?
No, how?
I took a bus from Bandra and went because someone told me that there's a new channel opening and they might be looking for newcomers. And I got off the bus and I walked in. At that time, ZTV was one huge hall. And one woman was sitting over there, one woman, under a light. Otherwise, it was a dark hall. So I went up to her and I said that, are you taking proposals? So she said, yeah, I'm taking proposals. I said, I heard you're opening a channel. She said, yeah, we are opening a channel. Do you have a story? So I said, yeah. I had it in 2 pages written by hand. I gave it to her. And she said, okay, we'll get back to you. Her name was Karuna Samtani. She was the programming head later of ZTV. She created ZTV.
Wow.
After 3 days, she called me up and she said, it's a lovely story, but how will you produce it?
Why?
So I said, that you don't worry, you give it to me, I'll produce it.
Why was that question? Why was she apprehensive?
Because I didn't have a production house. I had come in a bus. I was like, I didn't have an office. I was pedal on the feet.
Oh, that is inspirational.
Like that. So I said, don't worry. So I spoke to Raman Kumar. I spoke to other people. I said, please, I've got a serial to produce. They're all looking at me. From where you got a serial to produce? I said, there's a new channel. They said, what new channel? Then ZTV is coming up. अरे नहीं वो लोग budget नहीं देते. I said, what matters? जो भी budget मिल रहा है उसमें बनाते हैं ना. And we got together and we made, and Tara became such a hit. That is what happened.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's lovely. I mean, it's giving me the rush,
Yeah, because that's how things happen. That's why I keep wanting people to know, udas mat ho, don't give up, because kuch bhi ho sakta hai, just keep on doing something and something will come out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much for the lovely chat, Vinta. It was amazing to have you.
I also love being on this. I've never talked so much as I'm talking with you.
I mean, I'm so much honored. It's a pleasure. So I hope we have a chat soon again. We meet once again.
Yes. Looking forward.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience. And we'll meet up again next week for another show. Bye-bye.
Bye.